Sawubona mngani, welcome back to Zulu Lessons with Thando, the place for modern conversational Zulu language lessons. Mngani, let's have a look at a story from this website, African Storybook. We've used this website before for a couple of other stories, so it will not be new to you. The website, I just wanted to show you what you do here. When you get to this website, so africanstorybook.org, then you click here on read and only go to this storybooks ASB approved. Don't go to the others because sometimes there are stories that have incorrect grammar. So I think those ones have not been approved and they have not checked them. So for the correct grammar and translations. So you click on the approved storybooks, and then mine already is on isiZulu. You will find a drop down, right? And it has like say all languages and all these different African languages, Chishona, Chitonga, Nyanja, all kinds of African languages you can think of. And then they will not be in ascending order per reading level. So go to the reading level and just click there once the arrow will point down. So then it will be in ascending order. So from level 1 all the way to level 5. And then I am looking for a specific story that I have prepared for you for today. So I'm going to then let you listen to the story and then we'll work on the grammar. Izicathulo ezintsha. The way this website works is there is a person who writes the story and then different people who then translate these stories into the various African languages. And for this one, these are the people who have translated the story. I don't know if the Kathy name, that person is the one who did the illustrations, I'm not sure. But then Claire is then the one who has translated the story into isiZulu, I believe. And again, disclaimer, I don't have any affiliation with the website. It's a website that is public, that is free for anyone who is learning and or teaching isiZulu. So let's go ahead now and have a look at the story itself, just to translate it line by line, and then we can move on to working on the grammar.
uSipho uya edolobheni nodadewabo. Udadewabo uhamba ebuka izimpahla ezitolo. uSipho ucikekile. uSipho ubona okufanele yena. Amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. Uyazilinganisa zonke. Udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. Kungani bejahe kangaka ukufika ekhaya? Ngenhlanhla ufike ngesikhathi enkundleni yebhola. Ugqoke izicathulo zebhola ezintsha. Iphela lapho inganekwane.
Now that we've looked at the story from the website, let's just have a look at the translations for each sentence. uSipho uya edolobheni nodadewabo. Sipho is going to town with his sister. Udadewabo uhamba ebuka izimpahla ezitolo. His sister keeps window shopping, looking at clothes at the shop. uSipho ucikekile. Sipho is annoyed. uSipho ubona okufanele yena. Sipho sees something that suits him, or we can loosely say Sipho sees something for him or for himself. Amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. Shoe prices have been lowered or reduced. Uyazilinganisa zonke. He tries on all of them, or he fits all of them. Udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. His sister buys him shoes for playing soccer. Kungani bejahe kangaka ukufika ekhaya? Why are they in such a hurry to get home? Ngenhlanhla ufike ngesikhathi enkundleni yebhola. Fortunately, he arrived on time at the stadium. Ugqoke izicathulo zebhola ezintsha. He's wearing new soccer shoes or new soccer boots. Now let's go line by line and just take out something of interest and we'll break that down, the grammar of whatever that will be. So we'll look at the first sentence. uSipho uya edolobheni nodadewabo. Let's have a look at that verb, uya. The verb ya simply means to go. Doesn't mean to leave, it doesn't mean to walk. That is hamba. But we are saying go. So that is ya. Now, don't confuse by it in the present tense by the simple present tense ya, where we are saying, for example, ngiyahamba. Do you hear that ya before the verb? So between the pronoun and the verb, or between the subject concord and the verb, uyahamba, he or she is walking. So that ya is not this one. That is not what we are talking about. This one is actually a verb, to go. Now look at how we are using it in the simple present tense, where we are saying, I am going. Ngiyaya, ngiyaya, I am going. There is that ya in the simple present tense that's between the pronoun and the verb. There it is here. Let me just highlight it a different color just so that you can see it. Made it red just so we can see it better. That's the present tense yeah there. But now you see our verb at the end in the black. That is what we are talking about. Ngiyaya, I am going. Uyaya, you are going. Bayaya, they are going. But now let's have a look at it. When we want to, in the way it has been used in this sentence, uya edolobheni. And of course, remember, once we drop that present tense, ya, it means we are now expanding our sentence. We can never use it the way these examples are here that I'm going to share with you. We don't use it that way. We have to then expand. So let's have a look at this. Ngiya, I go. Ngiya, I go. Now I must now continue and say, Ngiya edolobheni. I'm going to town. Or I'm going to the city. Uya, you go. Uya edolobheni. You are going to town. Uya, he or she goes. Uya edolobheni. He or she goes to town or is going to town. Baya, they go. Baya edolobheni. They go to town. Or they are going to the city. Iya, he, she, or it I've actually kind of been lazy here and didn't write everything. He, she, or it. These are for those nouns that start with IN and IM. So they can be a person, they can be a thing. For example, it can be a flower, imbali, IM, or it can be a sheep, imvu, that's an IM, or it can be a man, indoda, that's an IN, that N for November. So let's move on. Zia, they go. That is nouns that start with I-Z-I. Usually the plurals of nouns that start with IN or IM. Usually. Nia, that's all of you. All of you go. Nia edolobheni. Siya, siya edolobheni. We go to town. Now, when you're hearing me say this, let's be very careful, because you'll hear a lot of people will say siya when they are shortening the name siyabonga. Siyabonga is a sentence. We are thankful, or we are giving thanks. So that is a person's name. It's a very common name in isiZulu. And when it is shortened, we remove the verb bonga itself most of the time, which actually takes away from the meaning of the name because it's talking about thankfulness. And then you remove the actual part that says thanks, you know? But anyway, so then the shortened version of the name Siyabonga then becomes Siya, that you will hear people from KZN and usually mostly from eThekwini, Durban, you'll hear them saying Siya. And then everybody else, especially people from Gauteng and those places, they'll say Siya, Siya, when they are shortening the name Siyabonga. So we are not saying Siya as in the shortened version of the name Siyabonga. We are saying Siya as in we go, or we are going. So Siya edolobheni, we are going to town. Now, I put here for all classes of nouns from class 1 to class 8, some sentences just so that we can see how these look using this verb, conjugating this verb in the different classes of nouns and for the singular and plural. So here we are. Umuntu uya esitolo. A person is going to the shop. You see that U before the ya? So he or she. Umuntu uya esitolo. And the plural of it is abantu baya esitolo. People are going to the shop. Now, mind that in all these examples that I'm going to use, I may be using a or n or the articles in just anyhow, because I didn't really care whether it was something we've already spoken about, so we say the, or something we have not spoken about, so we say a, you know, it really did not matter to me. So here we go. The next sentence, class 1A. Udadewethu uya esitolo. Oh, dadewethu, the plural, baya esitolo. Note that the conjugations are exactly the same as for class 1, because class 1 and class 1A behave exactly the same. The only difference between them is the nouns in class 1 are specifically people, and they start with the prefix or umu when they are singular, and aba when they are plural, and sometimes abe. But the ones in class 1A, when they are singular, they start with only. And when they're plural, they start with o only. Now, moving on to class 2. Umkhumbi uya phesheya. Umkhumbi uya phesheya. The ship is going overseas. There is a noun that starts with so its subject concord is u. And then when it's plural, the noun is starting with imi. So we say imikhumbi iya phesheya. Imikhumbi iya phesheya. The ships are going overseas. Ifu liya enyakatho. Ifu liya enyakatho. We are looking at class 3. Ifu liya enyakatho, the cloud is going to the north. And amafu aya enyakatho, the clouds are going to the north. So that's the plural. Do you hear? I wish you to listen to the subject concord of each class of noun. That's what we are focusing on. So I'm going to then leave a link in the comments and in the description box if you're finding this on YouTube, where you are going to find this document that I have written all of this on. That's where you can go through everything on your own and then try and make your own sentences of this. And then also, once you have done that, once you have written those sentences, go ahead and post them in the comments and let's work on them together, okay? Now, then we can then look at I want to look at class 7 and 8. Ubunja buya esihogweni. That word esihogweni, do you hear how I'm pronouncing it and saying ho, that H, making it soft? That same word can also be pronounced as esihogweni. Both pronunciations are welcome. So ubunja, I wrote here animalistic, although animalistic is actually ubulwane, but I just couldn't think of a word in English that says dogly behavior. So someone who is behaving like a dog, let me put it that way. I don't know why we insult dogs in this way or animals in this way and say whoever is doing something horrible, we say they're acting like an animal or they're acting like a dog, because I don't think animals behave in those horrible ways, to be honest. So anyway, let's move on. So dogly behavior is going to hell because esihogweni is hell. So now, then we don't have a plural on this because this is an uncountable noun. Think about that, a behavior. We can't say single behavior and plural behaviors in isiZulu. It's just simply ubunja. And then the number 8, class 8, ukukhula. We use the verb khula and we made a noun. The noun is ukukhula, so it's called a verbal noun, or in English we call it a gerund. So ukukhula kuya. I didn't complete this sentence because it's just such a silly sentence. It's just you just can't put it together. So I just wanted you to see how we would conjugate the verb for a class 8 noun. So we would use ku as the subject concord. So that's what was important here. And then of course there is no plural for gerunds. Now, some of the words I used here, like in class 4, I said isiXukutwane. IsiXukutwane is an important person. So here I wrote the dignitary. So isiXukutwane is an important person, a dignitary, a renowned person, a notable person. And then on class 5, I said indoda iya embizweni. Imbizo. Imbizo is a gathering or an assembly or a conference. So historically, it's been something, a meeting that has been called by the king. So we say imbizo, coming from the verb biza, to call. So coming from the verb biza, which is to call. and then we are making it a noun, and we're saying imbizo, so a gathering or an assembly of people who have been called by the king. But of course, we don't necessarily only use the word only when we're referring to things, to gatherings called by the king, but we also say to gatherings of any kind, whatever conference. So anyway, we move on. We then make this, make sentences here with this verb, ya, which is to go. And we've already seen ngiyaya, which is I am going. Let's have a look at this one now. Ngiyile. We can say I went, or we can say I have gone. And I have gone is the correct one because this is the past participle. So I have gone is the correct one. And then angiyi, I'm not going. Angiyanga, I did not go. See that a at the beginning of that word and the anga at the end that are showing us did not. So angiyanga, ngizoya, I will go. Angizuya, I will not go. Ngiya emhlanganweni, I am going to the meeting. Another word that we see here in this sentence is edolobheni. Let's just have a look at it here. Usipho uya edolobheni. No dadewabo. Edolobheni. The word comes from Afrikaans. It's a borrowed word. Afrikaans, if you're outside of South Africa, you might not know that language. Afrikaans is a Dutch Creole that is spoken in South Africa and I believe Namibia as well. So now we have this word from Afrikaans, which means city or town. Dorp. In Afrikaans, dorp. So now we have it here as a locative. Edolobheni. This is how the word looks otherwise. Idoloba. Now, a locative, or as we say in isiZulu, undaweni. A locative is a word that says in this place or on that item or at that place. So that is what a locative is. It's telling us the location. So in English, you would say a preposition. So in English, you would say in town. You wouldn't change the word town. But of course, isiZulu is an agglutinative language. So in that agglutination, we then have the e that we put before that noun. So we remove the first vowel of that noun, whatever the prefix is, that first vowel, we remove it, and we put in the word, the letter E, which is e. And as soon as you see that e, most of the time you see it, you'll know it is a preposition that you're going to come across. There are times where it will be an adverb or it will be an adjective prefix, but in most of the times it will be a locative. So we've got a, and then you've got the body of the noun, and then you have the ending, which differs depending on the last vowel of that noun. So this one that we're dealing with here ends with an A. For all vowels that end, not vowels, but nouns that end with the letter A, we will change it to a locative by removing that last vowel and replacing it with E-N-I, a, ni, a, ni. So you have your a, which means a locative, the body of the noun, you drop the last vowel and then you put in a, ni. So now we have edolobheni, edolobheni. Let me say it slower. E, do, lo, be, ni. That BH, there is a blown out sound. So it's explosives. But unlike the letter B on its own in isiZulu, just the letter B, that is implosive. So like the noun father, ubaba. Do you hear? I'm not blowing it out and saying ubaba. I'm saying ubaba. So you put your lips together softly and let go. Ubaba. So this one is not the same. The BH is blown out, as in boy in English, or ball. So edolobheni. So now this now means in town. And you can also be saying to town. Yeah, depending on what your sentence is. So in this case, let's see. Ngiya edolobheni. Here is an example. Ngiya edolobheni. I am going to town. Usebenza edolobheni. He or she works in town. There is another noun that ends with an A. Ikhala, the nose. Ikhala. Ikhala, the nose. Now we remove that last vowel A, as we said before, and we replace it with N. And at the beginning, we make sure we put in E instead of the I. So ekhaleni, ekhaleni, now it's a locative, which means on the nose, on the nose. So now let's have a look at this example. Unento ekhaleni, unento ekhaleni. Into is a thing. So you have something on the nose. You have something on the nose. Now, another noun that ends with an A is inkaba. Inkaba is the navel or the belly button. Inkaba. Enkabeni then becomes the locative. Enkabeni, so on or in the navel. So let's say unecici enkabeni. That's you. Unecici. You can change this and say unecici. Unecici enkabeni. So he or she has an earring on the navel. Now, for nouns that end with the letter O, we remove that vowel O and replace it with weni. Do you hear that? Now it's a W-E-N-I. Weni. So your noun will start with the letter E, and then the body of the noun, and then we replace the O with weni. So let's have a look at this noun. Imoto. Imoto is a car. So now if we want to say in the car, we would say emotweni. Emotweni. Do you hear that TW there? So emotweni is the locative in the car. Even if you want to say on the car, you would still say emotweni. Emotweni uyashisa. Emotweni uyashisa. In the car, it's hot. I could also swap this around and say, uyashisa emotweni. Uyashisa emotweni. It's hot in the car. Here's another noun that ends with an O. Umhlangano. Umhlangano. Umhlangano is a meeting. Yes, it comes from the verb hlangana. Hlangana, which means to meet. So now, umhlangano, we change it to emhlanganweni, and that is a locative. You see there at the end, we have weni instead of the O. In a meeting. To a meeting. So look at this example. Ubaba uye emhlanganweni. Ubaba uye emhlanganweni. This ye here, this is the past tense, has gone or went. Ubaba uye emhlanganweni. It's the same verb that we spoke of earlier, the verb ya, but in the past tense. So Dad has gone to a meeting, or Dad went to a meeting. And don't forget to put in the letter E instead of the vowel that the noun started with. Now let's have a look. There's another one I made here, another example I made here. And this one is isiHoko, because I had already made an example for us in the sentences above. So let me just go ahead and use this one again. isiHoko or isiHoko. It depends on the person how they want to pronounce that sound H. Sometimes people say H, or other people just say isiHoko, isiHoko. That's hell, as in Hades. So when we are now wanting to say inhale, then we can say esihogweni, esihogweni, inhale. So now let's have an example. Look at the example. USathane uhlala nezingelosi zakhe esihogweni. USathane uhlala nezingelosi zakhe esihogweni. Satan lives with his angels in hell. Esihogweni, in hell. I could simply say, you are going to hell. Uya esihogweni. No, you are not. No, you are not. The last example we can make here is ihlo or ilihlo. Both are correct. Ihlo is an eye. So the locative for that will be ehlweni, ehlweni. So in the eye or on the eye. You can go ahead and find as many as you can, nouns that you can play around with and say, and make these locatives. Go ahead and put them in the comments. I'll check them and we'll see how the E is there. But don't forget that first E at the beginning of the locative. Now, for nouns that end with the letter E, as in in isiZulu, drop that and replace it with ni, ni. I know for other people, they say, why do we say we drop the and why don't we just say replace it with ni or add ni at the end? You know, this is how it is. This is how I learned it when I was a kid, and this is how it is, and this is how I'm going to tell you. So drop the E at the end and replace it with E and I. So the noun umbhede, if we want to say on the bed, then we say embedeni, embedeni. So now let's make an example. Ingane ilele embedeni. The child is sleeping on the bed. Nouns ending with the letter I. You drop the I and replace it with ni, I-N-I. Here's an example. Umsebenzi. Umsebenzi is a noun meaning work or a project or a job. I actually missed another one here, which is rather important. A ritual. A ritual is also called umsebenzi. So, emsebenzini. Emsebenzini is at work or to work. Uthisha uya emsebenzini go 11. The teacher is going to work at 11. Now, I just need to stress this, very important to me. So I will take the time to make sure we understand this. Uthisha is a borrowed word from the word teacher in English. So you would then ask yourself, why do AmaZulu use the word uthisha, which is borrowed from English, instead of their own word? I have my own explanation for that. With the missionaries, when they came to South Africa, I believe that they wanted a word that explains what they do or what they are doing, and that would be acceptable to my ancestors, AmaZulu. And so they wanted to say that they are teachers of the word. So umfundisi, the teacher, so became a pastor. So as you are hearing that way I pronounced it, umfundisi, that's the pronunciation for a pastor or a reverend. The correct pronunciation of this word actually is umfundisi. Umfundisi. That's the correct pronunciation for this word in isiZulu. Because when you are teaching someone, uyafundisa. You can't say ngiyafundisa. You see, we are not speaking isiZulu in English. So we will say ngiyafundisa. So that isa at the end that you hear there, we then say that the same way as well when we are now saying a teacher or one who is teaching, umfundisi. So that is a teacher in isiZulu. But yes, the commonly used word is utisha. Moving on with the lesson, ikati is another example for a noun that ends with the letter I. And now when we want to make that into a locative, we then say ekatini, ekatini, on the cat. So listen to this little thing here. Iphi insimbi, where's the bell? Then you respond, ekatini, on the cat, on the cat, ekatini. But we can also say, insimbi, isekatini, insimbi, isekatini. The bell is on the cat. Usinki, usinki is the sink. It is a borrowed word from English. As you see here, sink in that word. But I'm saying it in isiZulu. We borrowed it. Just like in English, you borrow the word spaghetti, for example, from Italian. So, esinkini is a locative, meaning on the sink and in the sink. Now, here is an example. Geza izitsha esinkini. This is a command. You see that the verb itself, we did not put any prefix, any subject, concord, any nothing. We just said geza. That is an instruction, a command. Geza izitsha esinkini. Wash the dishes on the sink. Gezela esinkini. Gezela esinkini. Wash the dishes on the sink. It's basically the same thing. So there are exceptions on these locatives that will not follow the rules that we have spoken about here. And there are quite a few. So I would rather do that or go over those with you at another time, not during this story lesson, because it will just make it way too long now. The sentence that we're working on says, Usipho uya edolobheni nodadewabo. Usipho uya edolobheni nodadewabo. That last part is what we want to look at here. Nodadewabo. We know udadewabo is his or her sister. Udadewabo starts with the vowel u. However, when we blend this together with the conjunction na, which can either mean with, or to have, or and, we then have no dadewabo. In this case, we are using this conjunction na to mean with. So with his sister. No dadewabo. Udadewabo uhamba ebuka izimpahla ezitolo. Udadewabo uhamba ebuka izimpahla ezitolo. So his sister keeps walking around looking at clothes at the shop. In isiZulu, siblings have a possessive pronoun. The first part of the noun of the word itself, that is the sibling, is the actual noun. So for example, for sister, we will then say tate, and for a brother, we'll say mfo. And then it is followed by the possessive pronoun that tells us who is speaking or whose sibling is being spoken of. So wethu, wabo, wenu, like that. So udade, let's start there. Udade is a female sibling, as in sister. That's singular. Odade, those are female siblings, so sisters. So if I'm speaking to one of my girlfriends and I'm saying, sister girl, how are you? I'll say, dade, unjani, or unjani dade, right? And then if we now want to say, and to elaborate now, add my sister, your sister, their sister, here we go. Udadewethu. Udadewethu. There is a girl that we share a mother and or a father with. It could be that we have different mothers. That's why I'm saying and or a father. So it could be that we share the father, but we have different mothers. And then also the daughter of my father's brother. So if my father's brother has a daughter, in English you would say cousin. In isiZulu, that girl would be my sister. So I would be saying udadewethu. I would not say my cousin. I would not say umzala. So then that wethu part, that is plural, meaning ours. So you will know with context, who are we talking about? So, are we talking about, is the person speaking to you talking about their own sister, as in my sister, or are they saying our sister? Then you would know that with context. Udadewenu, ending with an nu, udadewenu, that is a girl that you share a mother and a father with. Listen to this. I didn't say a girl that I share a mother or a father with. I said a girl that you share a mother and or a father with. So I'm talking about you. That is why I'm saying we nu. The daughter of your father's brother as well would then be udadewenu, so your sister. It could be one sister, it could be many sisters. We are saying udadewenu for one sister. Odadewenu for many sisters of yours, not mine. Udadewabo. Note that ending there, it's a bo, so B-O. That's his or her sister. And then when we say, dadewabo, that's their sisters. So we're not talking about our people, so not yours, not mine, but their, so we're talking about a third person, their sister, or his sister, or her sister. Now, it's the same way with a brother. Now, umfo, do you hear that? Umfo, I'm not saying umfo. Umfo is a male sibling, meaning a brother. And then abafo, those are male siblings, as in brothers. Now, just a little explanation with this. These words aren't actually used in spoken language because umfo is actually the same as the word for a stranger, someone we don't know. And abafo as in some strangers, people we do not know, and enemies. So that is why we just don't use it in common spoken language, because we just want to avoid that ambiguity of it. So you will only hear us saying umfowethu and abafowethu. So umfowethu, a boy that we share a mother and or a father with. It could also be different mothers, but the same father. And of course, that wethu, the same as I said before for that, the wethu as in sister, is plural, meaning ours. And though it means ours, it in this sense, when we are now talking about a sister, we'll only so use it when I'm saying my sister or my brother. Uda de wethu, my sister, umfowethu, my brother. So it's now context again. Who is this person talking about? Are they talking about my brother? Are they talking about our brother? That's how you will then figure out. You need to know the context. Umfowabo, that's their brother. Umfowenu, that's your brother. However, you will hear people say this a lot. Bafo is one brother. So you'll hear a guy, maybe guys talking to each other, and they'll say bafo, which is like saying dude or bro in isiZulu. And it's actually closer or more dear when you're saying bafo. It's more closer than saying dude, actually. So maybe just saying bro, yeah. So it's colloquial. So that's basically the breaking down, or the most breaking down I can do of the words that the way to and way to. Another thing I want to mention about the brother word. If you look at it, it's UMF. That MF can be pronounced as mf or mf. Do you hear how I'm separating the M and the F? Mf. So you can hear someone, this is all dialect now, you can hear someone saying umfowethu, and you hear someone else saying umfowethu. Mina, Thando, I say umfowethu, umfowabo, umfowenu. But other people say umfowethu, umfowabo, umfowenu. It's really a dialect. And yeah, there's really not much to that. Now, the next sentence I want to look at a little bit is Usipho ucikekile. I don't know what kind of child would be using this kind. I don't think the child would use this language and say ngicikekile to his sister, to his big sister, because that would just be so rude. But anyway, that's what the author chose to use here to talk about annoyance. So ucikekile, the verb cika means to annoy. Now, if you look there, we have changed or highlighted in red. Say I'm saying cikeka. That is to be annoyed. So if you remember the derivatives of verbs that we have looked at before, the different verb endings, we have done that here. This verb ending is eka. So impambosi yokwenzeka. That eka is really saying the ability for something to be done, so capability. So here, he is annoyable, is really what we could be saying, but it's really just meaning to be annoyed. So if I say ngacikeka, I got annoyed, that is a long time ago. If you're hearing that ngacikeka, I got annoyed, but a long time ago. Ngiyacikeka manje. I hope you're listening to how I'm saying this. I'm getting annoyed now. Ngiyacikeka manje. That's one of the ways that people speak, you know, when someone wants to stress something, or enunciating something, so they sort of pronounce each syllable sort of, you know, separate from the other. So otherwise it's ngiyacikeka manje, which is I'm getting annoyed now. Ngicikekile. Look at that one. Ngicikekile. I am annoyed. But that ile is the one of the past participle. So we can say I have been annoyed. But this here colloquially just simply means I am annoyed. Ngicikekile. This is the condition I am right now. I am annoyed. Ngizocikeka. Ngizocikeka. I'm going to be annoyed, or I will be annoyed. Angicikekile. Angicikekile. I'm not annoyed. Ucika untokozo. Ucika untokozo. You're annoying ntokozo. Uyacika. You are annoying. Uyacika. 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 He or she is annoying. Ungangiciki. Ungangiciki. Don't annoy me. So just a little bit of an example of examples just to show you how we can use the verb cika. Now, the next sentence is Usipho ubona okufanele yena. Usipho ubona okufanele yena. Let's have a look at that word fanele. Now, fanela means to suit, as in something that suits you. In English, you would say, oh, this bag, or this bag suits you, or this dress suits you. So that is what we are talking about here, fanela. So ukufanela, to suit, is a verbal noun or a gerund in English, and the D here, a gerund in English. So ukufanela. So this is what we are actually working with when you're seeing this ukufanele. So now let's go ahead and look at it a bit more. That O at the beginning, that is an adjectival prefix or an adverb prefix, that O. So if we are describing a noun, and we are describing it and we are saying a white boy, umfana omhlophe. Let me just type it here. Do you see that O before the noun, the adjective mhlophe, the color, omhlophe? So umfana omhlophe. And get this, that I am speaking this all in English. I'm not saying this in isiZulu, because actually in isiZulu, if you are now going to be doing isiZulu grammar because you're preparing to go and write an exam, then you need to know that a color is not treated as the same as other adjectives in isiZulu. So we are not doing that. We are not preparing for any exams. So let's work on our conversational language. So umfana omhlophe. You see, we are describing the boy and we are saying oh to talk about him. So if we now want to say a naughty boy, then we would say umfana ohluphayo or ogangile. Umfana ohluphayo, so a troublesome boy. You see, I started with the prefix o. And ogangile, see, we are starting with o to say a naughty one. So let's continue on this. Now we say for a class 8 noun, the adjectival prefix and adverbial prefix is o. So let's have a look at this, how we would use this for different classes of nouns we want to use the adverb fanela, so to suit. So we'll say this suits me, this suits you, this suits, you know. So actually we just say this suits me. Whatever it is that we are talking about suits me. So here we go. Class 1, umuntu ongifanelayo, a person that suits me. Ongifanelayo, do you see that prefix for our adverb here is o? And of course, we are talking about an adverb. So a verb that describes a noun. So we are ending it with yo at the end. If we are doing this in plural, we are saying abantu abangifanelayo. People that suit me. Abantu abangifanelayo. That you at the end to signify that we are saying this is an adverb. So unogwaja ongifanelayo, that's a class 1a noun. Unogwaja, which is a rabbit. Ongifanelayo, do you see the prefix for the adverb and or adjective would be o, and the plural one, onogwaja abangifanelayo. So for the plural one, the prefix is aba, the same as in class 1. Because remember, class 1 and class 1a really behave the same every single time. Now, for class 2, umbala is a color. So umbala ongifanelayo, a color that suits me. Or do you see that? For the noun that starts with the prefix is o. Imibala, that's the plural now. We are saying colors. Imibala engifanelayo. Look at the prefix for the adverb and or adjective. It would be e. Imibala engifanelayo, colors that suit me. Itoyizi for class 3 noun. Itoyizi is a borrowed word from English, as in a toy. In English, you would say a toy and then say plural toys. But we've taken the word toys and we say itoyizi for a singular word meaning toy, and amatoyizi for plural meaning toys. So itoyizi elingifanelayo. Itoyizi elingifanelayo. A toy that suits me. Do you see the prefix here? Eli. That's the singular prefix for the adverb and or adjective. And then for the plural, amatoyizi angifanelayo. Amatoyizi angifanelayo. Toys that suit me. That that I'm stressing there, that's the prefix for the plural adjective or adverb prefix. For class 4, isithuthuthu, which is a motorbike or a motorcycle. Isithuthuthu esingifanelayo. Esingifanelayo, so a motorbike or motorcycle that suits me. Look at the prefix. Esi. That's the prefix for your adjective and or your adverb. For a class 4 singular noun. For a class 4 plural noun, it's izithuthuthu ezingifanelayo. Ezingifanelayo. Now note that for class 4, 5, and 6, the plural is always the same. And so, of course, even here, we are going to have the very same prefix as well for the adjective or the adverb. That ezi, the E-Z-I or E-Z-I. Now, class 5, imoto. Imoto is a car, so borrowed from the word motor in English, a motor. So, imoto. listen to how I'm pronouncing it, that M, imoto. Do you hear that? The M and the O, I kind of pull the O a little bit, imoto. So not imoto. Imoto then becomes another language. So let's pull that O. Imoto engifanelayo. Imoto engifanelayo. So that E, to describe a noun that starts with I-am or I-n. So engifanelayo, and then izimoto, the plural of it now, izimoto ezingifanelayo. Ezingifanelayo. So cars that suit me. Ezi being the prefix for the adjective and or adverb for class 5 plural noun. Now, let's do remember that class 5 nouns, some of them can be singular in class 5 and then go and be plural in class 3. So like this, for example, let me see. This is gonna sound funny, but I'm gonna make it anyway. Indoda engifanelayo. A man that suits me. Yes, is the one that I'm married to. I'm married to a perfect man. But anyway, indoda engifanelayo. A man that suits me. And then the plural is amadoda. This is the funny part. Amadoda angifanelayo. So amadoda, so men, plural M-E-N. Angifanelayo, men that suit me. So do you hear that ama for the plural noun? Ama, that is in class 3. So we are saying the singular word for a man will be indoda. It will be found in a class 5 singular, but when it then becomes plural, it changes and becomes a class 3 noun. So indoda, amadoda. Just a reminder, we've spoken about this before. And then a class 5 noun, ukophe. I thought it works because ukophe being an eyelash and people now buying and putting on eyelashes that are fake. So I thought maybe it works as an example to say eyelashes that suit me. So let's see. Ukophe is one eyelash. Ukophe. Pay attention to that KH sound here. That is the same sound as the sound for car in English, to care in English. So, ukophe, and then the plural of it is izinkophe. Do you hear the difference? The plural then changes from KH to NK. So from k to nk. So do you hear that rather big difference in pronunciation? That's what helps us to see whether a noun is a class 6 noun, or is it a class 2 noun, or a class 1A noun, because we are seeing it starting with the letter U. We will know because when it's plural, it changes the pronunciation or the sound of the word. It changes so much. So from ukophe to izinkophe. So anyway, let's continue. We were saying ukophe olungifanelayo, so an eyelash that suits me. The prefix here, don't laugh at my example, pay attention to what we are working on, which is the prefix for the adjective and or adverb. So in this case, it's an adverb. Olungifanelayo, that olu is the prefix that we would then use for a class 6 singular noun. And then izinkophe ezingifanelayo. Izinkophe ezingifanelayo. So eyelashes that suit me. No, I'm not looking for eyelashes. And now we have a class 7 noun and class 8. You'll see I did not even bother to make another silly example because it just does not work with the adverb that we are using. So I just simply put the prefix only. So of course, these, we don't have a plural for these for class 7 and class 8 nouns. So the noun would start with ubu, you know, these ones, they usually are abstract nouns. And also the noun ubu, so it's also in this class, is in class 7. So ubu, so I don't know, you want to say ubu, so obu fanelayo, a face that suits you. I don't, but anyway, let me stop being naughty. Let me just write that down. Ubu, so obu fanelayo. I'm changing it to you now instead of me because it sounds too silly. So that KU, you will remember where we spoke about object concords, that KU, now we are saying you, we're not saying me. All along, we've been saying me. So that suits me, engi, angi, elingi, ongi, ezingi, olungi. You see, now we are talking about you. Obuku fanelayo. Ubuso, obuku fanelayo. A face that suits you. What a silly sentence, but anyway, you get the point. We are talking about the prefix for the adverb and or adjective. Now let's have a look at class 8. A class 8 noun would then start with an uku, and class 8 nouns are verbal nouns. So they are coming from a verb, and we are saying with them, or you could say a gerund in English, we are saying, for example, kula, that's a verb which means to grow. And then when we are saying kula, we are now saying growing. And so that noun that we have now made with the verb like that, so in English would be the noun that ends with an ing. Right? So that you can use it as a subject of the sentence, and you can also use it as an object of the sentence. So this is what we are talking about here, the class 8 noun. Its prefix for the adjective and or adverb would be oku. So now we make other examples using this fanela verb to suit. Usipho ubona izicathulo ezifanele yena. Sipho sees shoes that suit him. Ubona ikepisi elifanele yena. He sees a cap that suits him. Do you see this ezi? This ezi is relating to izicathulo. Ubona ikepisi elifanele yena. He sees a cap that suits him. Kuyangifanela. Kuyangifanela. Do you see that? I'm saying something suits me. Something suits me. I'm not saying what it is. So it suits me. Whereas if I was being specific and I'm saying maybe the shoes fit me, izicathulo, right? Izicathulo, shoes. But now if I'm saying they suit me, right? I would then say ziyangi fanela. Ziyangi fanela, right? So okufanele is what we were talking about. So what suits, or something that suits. Usipho ubona izicathulo ezifanele yena. Sipho sees shoes that suit him. Look at that. We are saying ezi because we are talking about izicathulo. Ubona ikepisi elifanele yena. Ubona ikepisi elifanele yena. So he sees a cap that suits him. Here is another example here. We were talking about okufanele, right? And we're saying what suits, or something that suits. Isikipa sakho siyakufanela. Isikipa is a t-shirt. You can find it pronounced as isikipa or isikipha, with a P instead of a B. So your t-shirt suits you. I'm hoping my color coding here makes sense for you. So that you, to say it suits you, here we have it here as in ku. And then there is the verb fanela, which means to suit in black. And we are talking about isikipa, so of course the subject concord for it is si. Look at that yo there in the green. That's your t-shirt. But the yo here in isiZulu is conjugated to match isikipa, the t-shirt. So isikipa starts with an isi. So of course then the possessive pronoun is also going to then match it, and it is sa. Isikipa sakho, isikipa sakho. Siyakufanela, your t-shirt suits you. Isudi yakho iyakufanela, your suit suits you. Then the next sentence we are looking at is amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. Amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. So the price for the shoes has been reduced. Inani, inani is value or price. So when we are saying amanani, we are saying values or prices. So you can see this is a class 3 noun. It's inani when it is singular, amanani when it is plural. Now, to ask how much is something, we don't say yini inani. Nah, don't say that. It will be correct grammatically, but it's just weird. Don't say that. So say imalini, imalini. Or you can also say kuyimalini, kuyimalini. But how much is this? So, or how much is it? So kuyimalini, imalini. And if you look here, what I've highlighted in red, mali, mali is imali, so money. So how much money does it cost, basically? Uyazithenga, uyazithenga. This is from the sentence. There was a sentence that had this. What was the sentence? Udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. So uyazithenga, he is buying them. Uyayipheka, he is cooking it. Do you see that? Z, that is the object sentence concord for izicathulo. Uyayipheka, that is the object concord for inyama. So uyayipheka inyama, he's cooking it, he's cooking the meat. Ehla, that means to go down. It's a verb and it means to go down. So to reduce, to lower something. So as you see, our sentence is saying amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. So ehla, to go down. Ngiyehla, do you hear that? I'm going down. So you can also be saying ngiyehla in a taxi, for example. If you need to tell, as in a minibus taxi, if you need to tell the driver that you want to jump off at the next stop, you would say ngiyehla. So I'm getting off, you know. Or you can also say ngicela ukwehla. That is for the taxi, by the way. Ngicela ukwehla. May I please get off, or may I please get down? That is to disembark, right? So ngicela ukwehla. Ukwehla being a verbal noun, so a class 8 noun. Like I said just a while ago, I said we can use a verb that ends with an ing, so which means it is a noun. We can use it as a subject of the sentence. We can use it as an object of the sentence. So here we are we've used this as an object of the sentence here. Ngicela ukwehla. So it's like I'm saying, I am asking to disembark. And then ehlisa, that is an instruction or a command to say lower or reduce. Ehlisa umoya, come down. Ehlisa umoya. Umoya is, can I say energy? Like, you know, if you're telling someone to come down as a spirit, whatever, yeah. So anyway, ehlisa umoya, so calm down. So it's really the temper, to be honest, yeah, just temper. So yeah, so literal meaning is like really saying lower or reduce your breath. In a way, you could say that, kind of funny, but anyway, it's really saying lower your temper, which is calm down. And ehlisiwe, do you hear that? Ehlisiwe, we've learned about derivatives, izimpambusi, and we've learned that when we are saying something to cause something to happen to another, you know, so then we say isa at the end, so it's a causative, we add the ending isa. So if I say ehlisa, like I've just said here, so I'm saying lower, so ehlisa umoya, so lower your temper, so come down basically. Now ehlisiwe, it has been lowered. This is now the recent past tense. Ehlisiwe, it has been lowered. So that's the past. So that's why you are seeing here with our, where is the sentence there? Amanani ezicathulo ehlisiwe. So the price of the shoes has been lowered. So ehlisiwe, the amanani ehlisiwe. So even if we didn't have the noun izicathulo, let's say we knew we were talking about the shoes and we're saying amanani ehlisiwe. Do you see that e is connecting to amanani? So we would know that we are talking about these shoes, that the price, their price has been lowered. Now, another example will say, maybe if you are in a taxi, then you would say, umuntu would ask you where you're getting off, right? Or where you're disembarking. They would say, wehla kephi, wehla kephi. Where are you getting off? If you want to ask someone to lower something, say maybe you want to ask someone to reduce the volume, maybe, then you say, ngicela wehlise, right? But you're not saying wehlise what. So you're not being specific, but maybe they would understand that you're talking about the volume. Or you can say it and be specific and say umsindo. You say, ngicela wehlise umsindo, please lower the sound or the noise. And then you can also say, where radio. Where radio. So, of the radio, ngicela wehlise umsindo, where radio, please lower the sound of the radio. So, you see here, I didn't use the word umsakazo, which is the word for radio in isiZulu. I just simply said radio. So umsakazo is the noun for radio in isiZulu. So when I'm talking about that, we're not going to use that. We're just going to simply say it in English. Umsindo we radio. You can also say ngicela ungehlisele. Please lower it for me. Ngicela ungehlisele. Please lower it for me. So you can also then say ngicela ungehlisele umsindo we radio. Right? Ngicela ungehlisele umsindo we radio. Please lower the sound of the radio for me. Now, uyazilinganisa zonke. Uyazilinganisa zonke. He fits or he tries on all of them. Uyazilinganisa zonke. Now that verb, linganisa, means to fit or to try on. Linganisa. So if you're talking about clothing, to try on clothing, to fit clothing. So if I want to say something fits, I would simply say iyalingana. Do you see that? Iyalingana, it fits. Iyangilingana. Now I'm saying it fits me. Iyangilingana. Iyakulingana. That ku here, we're talking about you. So it fits you. So linganisa is to try on, but lingana is to fit. So lingana also is to be equal. So you would then hear, for example, say in-laws. So your in-laws, your husband's people or your spouse's people, parents, and the other way around, the other side as well. So they are abalingani. So let me make an example with my family. So my parents and my husband's parents, to each other, they are abalingani. So my in-laws, to me, they are umamezala, nobabezala. And then my husband, my parents, to him are umkwe, as in the father-in-law, my father. And then umkwekazi, as in his mother-in-law, my mother. But now we are talking about their relation to each other because they are now equals. They are the parents of these children who are married to each other. So we are saying abalingani, abalingani. So that's who they are to each other. So when they speak to each other, they would be saying umlingani. So what do we say it in English? I have no idea what you would say this, how you would say in English. But anyway, umlingani wami is what my mother would say if she's speaking about my mother-in-law or my father-in-law. She would say umlingani wami, or if she's speaking about both of them, she would say abalingani bami. And they would also say the same about her. So that was another example, just to make sure that you understand the word lingana, which means to fit, but it also means to be equal. Now, if we are now saying linganisa, we are talking about it to say try on something. Linganisa. So to try on clothing, to try on or to fit clothing. Linganisa izicathulo. Try on the shoes. Linganisa izicathulo simply just means try on the shoes. Now, the next sentence we are going to have a look at here a little bit is udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. Udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. Now let me say this the way I would say it when I'm speaking. So, udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. Udadewabo umthengela izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. So, umthengela is what I would like us to look at. Thenga, the verb thenga, means to buy. When we are now saying thengela, we are saying to buy for. So that is that impambosi or a derivative, to do for. So when we add ELA to the end of the verb. So thengela, buy for. Like for example, phekela, the verb, the original verb, the root verb was pheka. And then we are saying to cook for. So phekela. If I want to make an example now, I'd say phekela umama, cook for mother. if I did not have this Ella here and I said Pega umama, now I'm saying cook mother, you see. So Ella changes that sentence greatly and says cook for mother, Pekela umama. Now, uthengela, he or she is buying for. If we were talking about the sister here and we say usisi uthengela umfowabo izicathulo. The sister is buying shoes for her brother, right? Uthengela. Now we are talking about the sister and the brother here. Remember, because we are actually our main character is Usipho. So udadewabo umthengela izicathulo. That you are hearing me say, the umthengela, that M that is green here, that M really is mu. Umuthengela izicathulo. So it is talking about he or she. Like if I was saying she's buying the shoes for you, then I would say ukuthengela. And if I was saying she's buying it for me, then I would say ungithengela. So that that you are seeing in the sentence here, that doesn't have the you next to it, is really like this. They look at it as though it has an apostrophe. Umthengela izicathulo. Now we also have izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. So izicathulo zo, that zo is what I would like us to look at. The possessive prefix is then followed by the thing that is the use for this thing, or that is the owner of this thing. So if I wanted to say my shoes, I would have said izicathulo zami. But let's look at that prefix. The prefix for izicathulo, for the possessive pronoun, would be za. But we want to say for playing, playing is ukudlala, right? That's playing, that gerund that we've been talking about so many times already in this story. Playing is a class 8 noun, which is ukudlala. But let's have a look at these. The A and the U, the A and the U, they were going to blend here and they would give us O. So zokudlala is what we are getting here. That's why we have that zokudlala ibola. So the shoes for playing is what we are saying. So izicathulo zogogo. Have a look at that. I wanted to make another example that will have a Z-O or a Z-O here. So izicathulo zogogo. So shoes for the grandmothers. So the noun here that we used is ogogo. So grandmothers, plural. And we said umthengela. So I just want you to know, remember that that Ella, that what do you call it? The Ella, the impambosi, or the derivative in English, that it's not every single time that it's going to say to do something for. Like, for example, the word or the verb thandela. It means to wrap something around another object. So, thandela. Do you hear how I said it? Thandela. But if I'm talking about the verb thanda, which is to like or to love, and I'm saying I'm liking something for, so I'm liking this for you, for example. So look at this, thandela still. So ngiyithandela wena le moto. Ngiyithandela wena le moto. So I like this car for you. Now, let's have a look with that possessive that we had there, where we said zokudlala. Let's have a look at a few examples about that with, using different sentences. So, utamatisi wokwenza isalad. Wokwenza. here we have wa, so like the prefix for the possessive is wa. So utamatisi, wa and ukwenza. Ukwenza is doing or making. So that is a verbal noun or a gerund, which is a class 8 noun. So utamatisi, wokwenza is what we end up with because this is going to blend and become an O. So tomato for making salad. Otamatisi, so tomatoes. Bokwenza is salad. So the prefix for this otamatisi's possessive pronoun will be ba. So otamatisi, and so we're saying ba and ukwenza, which is doing and or making. So otamatisi bokwenza. Umbhede wokulala, a bed for sleeping. Yes, I had to make an example. So I don't know a bed for doing what else, because yeah. But anyway, I needed to make an example. So umbhede wokulala. So wa is the possessive prefix for a noun, a singular noun starting with and ukulala together blended and gave us wokulala. So it's now a bed for sleeping. Imibhede yokulala. So the noun imibhede, imi, that prefix, that's a class 2 plural noun. Imibhede. Now we want to say it's possessive. Its possessive would then be ya. Say, for example, if I wanted to say my beds would be imibhede yami. So that ya, if we put it together with the gerund ukulala, then we would say yokulala. And then let's say a broom, umshanelo. Umshanelo. Umshanelo is a broom. Now, we want to say for sweeping. So, ukoshanela is to sweep, so sweeping. So we then say umshanelo, the possessive pronoun is wa, and then we say ukushanela. So there is why we then have wo ushanela. So I'm hoping you are getting this. Ibodwe lokupheka. If I said my pot, I would have been saying ibodwe lami, that LA, that possessive prefix, la. So now we have put this together with the gerund ukupheka. So then we are saying ibodwe lokupheka, a pot for cooking. Of course, all these examples are a bit silly, but I wanted you to get the point that this is where, this is how we made this sentence here. Izicathulo zokudlala ibhola. You see? So even if you wanted to continue with this sentence, you could continue with this one and say amabhodwe okupheka ukudla. You see? So pots for cooking food. You see? So I just wanted you to get the idea. Isipikili sokwakha, a nail for building. Izipikili zokwakha, nails for building. Imali yokuthenga, money for buying, or for shopping. Ulwandle lokubhukuda, so the sea or the ocean for swimming. Yes, funny, silly examples, but you get the point. I wanted to make as many, so you've got plenty here that you can look at. So you can then also separate them. So go back in the reverse now and say, wait, loku dondolozela, what is this now? Dondolozela. So then you remove this and you say, oh, uku dondolozela, it's to lean on and to, you know, when someone is walking with a walking stick or a, yes, or crutches, right? So uku dondolozela, that is what we are talking about. And then we then put it together with the possessive prefix la. And that's where you now have loku dondolozela. Uchwala. Uchwala is a class 7 noun. but it's not very clear or obvious that it's a class 7 noun. So that's why it's important for me to just mention it. There are words like this where it's actually the ones who study languages, so the linguists and all of that, and historians, they tell us that language that was spoken by our ancestors has changed and changed and changed as as time progresses and as we meet and mix with other people as well. Just like you see how English has changed. You don't see someone talking about ye old whatever now in English. They'll just say the old whatever, you see. So, or they don't say thou anymore, So now we are also talking about the same thing with the isiZulu. The word for beer or alcohol is ubutshwala. Ubutshwala. So that's where it comes from. That's how it ends up being a class 7 noun, but you don't see the bu. You will never ever see it, and we don't even write it. So utshwala is what you'll always find it being. So utshwala is a class 7 noun. And then we say bokuphuza, so for drinking, because I needed to make an example. So I just wanted to make these examples together with a gerund, so all of them. So I'm hoping you understand. And if you do not, please do ask questions in the comments. And if you found this helpful, please do let me know also in the comments so that we can make more of this. But I'll stop here with this particular story that we were working on, izicathulo ezintsha, that we found on africanstorybook.org. It's a great website. Please do check it out. I'm going to post here in the comments, I'm going to post a Google Drive link that will take you to Google Drive. Then you can get this breakdown of the grammar that we have here, that we've gone through. And you will also get an audio recording of the story that I have made. You will then click on the link and find those things, those two things there. I think maybe I should also add maybe some questions. Yes, I'll add questions tomorrow, kusasa, so that they will help you in understanding, so as in comprehension questions. Ngibonga kakhulu mngani for being here, and I hope that this is helpful. Ngiyabonga, usale kahle.